of the things we had talked about a little bit is the state of the university. And I do want to approach that with you too. When I worked with you, if you don't mind, when I worked with you in the 1990s, I was at Harvard between 92 and 98. And I thought it was a great privilege to be there. I really enjoyed my time. In terms of attitude, there was something interesting that happened then too that you might find worthy of contemplation, given your attitude towards attitude. You know that the junior professors at Harvard were always destined to leave in 99.9% of the cases, And when I first came there, I observed that some of the junior faculty who were at the outer limits of their brief tenure there were unhappy that they weren't likely to be considered for permanent status and that they'd have to move on. And I thought, well, I don't want to be in that position in 6 years. I think I'll go there and think, if the turnover of junior staff wasn't high, I wouldn't have got this job to begin with. And that I'm pretty damn lucky to go to Harvard and meet all these people and be paid for it, because most people who go to Harvard have to pay to go, and I got paid for going, so that was a good deal. And that I should be happy with the outcome regardless of what it was, and then move on to wherever I was going. And that was an attitudinal shift that was very helpful to me and made the transition out of there much smoother than it might have been, even though it was accompanied by a certain amount of grief. Anyways, when I was there, I also felt that it was a very admirable institution and that I was there in a kind of golden age. I thought the university had prioritized the research requirements of the senior faculty as their number one goal. And then they treated undergraduates exceptionally well. And then they were pretty good to junior faculty and graduate students, kind of in that order. And the administrative apparatus was essentially there to facilitate all of that. So it was structured in a lovely way. And I also found that my colleagues, junior and senior alike, were fundamentally focused on their intellectual interests and their research. And they did what was necessary to keep things moving forward on the administrative front effectively, but that was not anyone's primary concern. So I was thrilled to be there. I can't say that the University of Toronto operated with that degree of professionalism, let's say, and commitment to excellence. And I also saw a decline in the quality of the university enterprise that was quite precipitous over about a 20-year period. And so I'm wondering your reactions to that. And I'm not happy with what's happened in the university community in general. What's your take on the educational front?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is that we have to be aware that anything I say may just be the difference of being, 30 years old versus as old as I am, rather than a change in the university itself. My change rather than the university's change. The idea that most people are not going to get tenure was the rule. I was actually, was I tenured when you were there?
Yes, you were. You and Jill Hooley.
No. Then it's much later, because I was the first tenured woman in the psychology department, and there were years where there was, nobody else tenured.
Right. That was by far the norm.
But I remember, I was hot stuff then. I'm allowed to say it because it's the past, right? And I suffered, with, am I going to get tenure? Am I not going to get tenure? I was the hottest thing out there. I shouldn't have had to suffer. And I said to myself, having gone through this, nobody should have to go through this. And it turned out to be positive, and that was wonderful. Well, the university changed over time. So now, if you were to come as a junior person, you're very likely to get tenure. It's now just like all the other universities in the world. So that's a good thing. As far as, and then the students are still spectacular. And my colleagues are doing very interesting work, and the university supports all of that. So those things haven't changed. My feeling is that there are more rules and regulations than there were in the past, which interferes at time with certain intellectual activities. If I wanted to, and this has happened over and over again, I want to do research. The research I'm doing is not like in the medical school where you can take one person's head and put it on another person and then see if it works. Most of the things we're asking people to do are innocuous.